golongtd.com, humanizing pro football journalism.
Is somewhere else, I guess it's not on my face.
You did let the beard go, I noticed. That's a good thing. Let the beard go.
Oh, it's nothing like your beautiful beard, but I grew like a dirtbag chin strap for the longest time, and I was like, you know what? Hopefully it can start growing up my face, and it's still not pretty, but hey, cover the chin.
I like it. Well, I'm glad we're doing this, Wyatt Teller. This is always a joy, because if I've said it once, I've said it a million times, that if we were to create a silhouette emblem for Go Long, it would be Wyatt Teller, guard for the Cleveland Browns, kicking somebody's ass out there. Maybe Alex Anzalone on a pole left against the Lions. Poor Alex. We've talked to him here as well.
Hey,
you sent him into another dimension.
I know, he's a stud player, and it was funny when that happened. He even got up. He was like, "Holy shit, I just got tossed." And then like 2 plays later, he ended, or I think it was the next drive, he smoked me in the A gap. He was coming with a vengeance. But he's a damn good player, so it's nice. It's nice that we kind of, it's a cool play, but he got me back. So
right, unfortunately for Alex, though, that's not the play that gets replayed all week on ESPN and NFL Network and whatnot. It's the one a few plays prior there, so you got that.
Well, yeah, exactly. Luckily, well, it wasn't that bad. He just, as a man-to-man, when someone gets you, sometimes it's not even the most spectacular play. It's just like, damn, he put me on my butt, which isn't common. I don't like being put on my butt. I take it with disrespect. Like if I get tripped or something like that, you're coming down with me. I'm not falling on my butt, and I'll get a holding call before I just let you whoop my ass. But there's times where it's man to man, you're like, damn, he got me, or damn, that was a good hit.
Gosh, how's Brooks? How's Carly? How's the baby girl on her way? It's got to be a busy time for you.
Yeah, it's insane. It's life is moving. I used to think that off seasons were so long. It's like, gosh, 5-6 months of doing nothing, and then all of a sudden now it's like it's season again. You're like, hey, wow, the days are long, but the years go quick. It's amazing. But yeah, no, it's we're expecting number 2 here in a couple of months, or really next month technically, but it's at the end of the month. So Carly's 1 month away in quotations, but yeah, no, she's doing amazing this second time around. She's I think that having a little one running around the house, you can't really feel bad or mope. You just like, hey, we got to go. So she's been amazing. She's taking care of her body. She's all this different stuff, and it's good. Brooks is growing like a weed. It's so insane seeing Brooks now. And then here in a month, how small, even an 8-pound, 9-pound baby, 7-pound baby, how small that baby is. And, it's amazing to go back.
Man, yeah, your life has changed quite a bit since we were drinking a little whiskey at your place there in Westlake, Ohio. I think it was Pappy, I want to say, the $1,600 bottle. You let me have a taste of that, which I don't know why you wasted it on me.
What's the point? No, absolutely not. What's the point of buying these bottles? And hopefully I didn't pay that much for the bottle, but they do get expensive. I try to, buy them at the low market so I can actually drink them. But yeah, no, second market's always a little higher than retail, I guess. But yeah, no, it was, a cool experience. And, drinking that stuff, if you buy it, I mean, what's the point of just looking at it, So of course I'm going to open it. I'm going to let you try it and drink it. But yeah, no, it's cool. My bottle collection has grown. And since then, I think in my basement, I have, 4 pretty stocked shelves. I'm just like, my brother's usually my bourbon guy. Our security director loves his bourbon too. So, I'm just like, hey, let's slow down. Let me drink some of these bottles, and then we can. I
can help you out. If you have a problem and if you need to unload a supply, just let me know. I don't know. It's going to be the case for you if it isn't already, though. When we bought our house in Western New York, so this would have been 2018, and one of the big reasons we loved this house was the basement and this like oak bar. whatever the wood was, it was amazing. And now it just holds toys. Like I don't even know the last time we sat at the bar and drank alcohol. It is just another place to put Ella and Sonny's toys to be removed to then create, PlayStations and crayons and paint and crafts. So it's not really a bar anymore.
I mean, other than for like body work, like if I have my chiropractor or physical therapist come over, I mean, other than that, I don't really go down there. I try to drink some of it. I make it a thing with my chiropractor to maybe, get out the Glencairns and, try a little bourbon here and there. I don't want him to get too sauced up before working on me, but no, Tommy Murdaugh, he's awesome. And, he actually, it's funny, he's really into bourbon. But before, he came over, he wasn't really into bourbon, and, me kind of showing all the different stuff and all this different, the history of it and the taste of it and what you're getting through the notes and everything like that. So, he's kind of fallen into love with bourbon. And, I was actually talking to Joel earlier today, and, Joel Batonio, our left guard, I mean, it's not that he doesn't like bourbon, but it's not like he's going to have a big bourbon shelf, he's not much of a drinker in the first place, but, when he does drink, he'll drink tequila, vodka. I don't think he discriminates. For me, it's like, I'm not going to really drink tequila. I've had a couple tequilas recently that are really good. I didn't realize how amazing tequilas can get. Cause when growing up, I had Patron and it was like, this is the worst. And now it's like, all right, there's some good stuff, that I've tried. So yeah, but with the bourbon, he was like, it's just cool because it's like a conversation piece. You go down there, you're having your friends over, and you can explain stuff and have knowledge on certain things. It's a cool little filler of, conversation pice.
No doubt. I mean, Andy Janovich can't have those conversations. He's just drinking Busch Lights.
Just
That's it.
Busch Light.
Love that guy. All right. So, I mean, this is a big year for the Cleveland Browns. Super Bowl expectations, I would think, are real. The way this team has been built, the position you're in, the run you went on last season when you're down so many players. I want to say at one point you're DeJuan Jones, Jedrick Wills, Jack Conklin. I mean, your line was just decimated, and you're finding a way to get in the playoffs. Didn't end the way you wanted to, obviously. Overall, expectations into 2024 for the Browns.
Oh, funny you brought that up. At one point, I think someone put like a tweet or a meme out there. My wife showed it to me. The end of what's it with Will Smith, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, when he walks into the house and everything's moved out, and he's like, "Where'd everybody go?" It was kind of like, last year it was just a weird thing. Like I think Amari played a lot, David played a lot, but there was just so many injuries all over. Playing.
It didn't even mention the quarterback. He had 5 players start at quarterback.
It's insane. And, I had 3 different right tackles, 2 centers, 3 centers. No, 2 centers. So it was just, inconsistent, but it just showed you how amazing our defense was, which was a blessing. And then, old grandpa, who was an amazing quarterback coming out of retirement, Joe Flacco. And I say that I actually called him dad because, I think his kids were as close to in age. 10 years, I think his oldest is like 10 or something like that, 10 or 12 or something. Old. And I'm like, geez, I'm as close to your kids as I am to you. And I'm following you. But, no, he was an amazing guy and an amazing leader. And to come in and play the way he did is just a testament to who that guy is. But, I'm really praying Deshaun comes back, healthy. And, I've seen him moving around and, when he plays well, he's unbelievable. Lights out. We saw that, in the Ravens game where that was a really good Ravens team. It's not like they were missing a lot of pieces, but they're amazing tight end. And, it was still like we played well and played through, a lot of adversity. So, I pray that we stay healthy, but the name of the game is next man up. That's just the reality of the game. So I hope so. One of our assistant offensive line coaches, Roy Isfan, he messaged in the group chat the other day, like I think Bleacher Report or something like that, I don't know, was like, hey, the Browns are going to be last in the AFC North. It was just like, That's a crazy take. We have a good defense. We have a lot of guys returning, but basically what they were saying was our offensive line's aging. The strength of our offense is aging. Deshaun, hopefully he stays healthy and plays well, but he's they said he's unproven, and I mean I've seen that man play lights out. So I just pray that he comes back with a vengeance and we play well. Super Bowl expectations. I mean, it's crazy to freaking talk about. I'm trying to win game 1 versus the Cowboys, and hopefully that's a good game. And we
don't
on
want your cliches. Take your cliches and shove them. Why? We don't want them. Get out of here.
I actually think that I'm like Dory. I have short-term memory loss. We watched too much Finding Nemo. That's funny I bring up Dory, but I truly it's real. I try not to think about it. If we're going to be real, playoff caliber. That's something that Buffalo is always, the first couple of years I was in Buffalo, they always spoke about playoff caliber. It was the way that, they ran it top down. If you're not giving effort, is that playoff caliber? Because if it was a playoff game, would you be giving effort? Of course you would. So that's the caliber of every single day thing. Last year, we played the Texans, who are a really, really freaking talented team, and they've only added to it, which is crazy. They're going to be a problem. It's just, we got our work cut out for us. So honestly, I want to go to the Super Bowl. I don't think any player that you'd ever talk to is like, you know what? This year would be a good year not to go to the Super Bowl. Everybody wants to be on a Super Bowl team. I will say this, going to the Super Bowl as the Cleveland Browns, the Detroit Lions understand this. It hasn't been done in a very long time. So, there's nothing more I want, but in reality, we got to start with game 1. So I know that's cliche, but I promise I mean that.
You brought up Deshaun Watson. It's been a while since we've seen that magic out of him, and you ain't kidding. Early on with the Houston Texans, it just felt like he was playing at a different speed. The improvisation, the magic, just doing whatever he wanted to out there. He was right there with Patrick Mahomes, it seemed, as the future of the position, of the sport. Sticking to the football, obviously, but what gives you the confidence that Deshaun Watson is still in there, right? I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen Deshaun Watson play at that level. And injuries, and there's a lot that factors into it, but what have you seen it? Are there times at practice when you've seen that version of Deshaun Watson? Like what gives you that confidence?
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like in our games, I feel like he has had a really shitty run. It's been really tough on him. He's coming back off of originally it was 6 games, then out of nowhere it was 11 games. I'm still confused with how that worked. We had someone come out of the NFL who said, and PA both agreed on an amazing judge. And she said that, hey, it should be, 6 games or something like that. And then it was like, no, that's not enough. It's like, wait, if the NFLPA agrees and you agree on this woman and then you don't agree with what she says, where's that? So I think that there's just from the start, I think that curveballs have been thrown at him. But no, I mean, I'll tell you this right now. I've seen glimpses, I've seen flashes of it, of just absolute greatness. I know that putting a whole game together is really freaking hard, especially at the helm of quarterback. But even in the Ravens game, I mean, he was doing what he wanted to do when he wanted to do it. And that was, I mean, we saw with DTR, who's an amazing guy, great quarterback, good quarterback. He's just young, inexperienced, and that defense ate him alive. And that it got into a passing frenzy versus that front. I don't care how good your offensive line is. That's not going to be a recipe for success. So, I've seen, and then we see the exact same defense. Everybody's out there again. And Deshaun does what he does, and we play really tight with an unbelievable team. And I would love to say, he has glimpses of Patty Mahomes. Patty Mahomes is once in a lifetime guy. I mean, he's insane, and he has great outlets. He has great receivers. He has a great defense. He has all these different things around him to make him better. But he is the truth. I believe that Deshaun has that. I truly do. I've seen glimpses of it. Putting a whole game together. I mean, it's tough. Putting a whole season together. Putting a whole stretch together. It's fucking hard, man. I couldn't imagine taking 2 years off of football and expecting to play at the same level I was playing at, 2020 and then 2021. So he's the helm of my team. I pray that he has an unbelievable season and honestly plays out of his mind, not to win a Super Bowl, but just for himself. I truly believe that he's, a great leader. I mean, sometimes, he's, I remember the first time I met him, he was like, "Hey, do you guys hang out?" I was like, "Yeah, I mean, we do. It was COVID. It was a little weird. I mean, I was really close with Baker. My wife was really close with his wife, and Baker and I are close. So I hung out with Baker, but a lot of the guys couldn't, especially during COVID. You can't have any hanging out. So it's like, it's been tough. We kind of lost that culture of hanging out. And then all of a sudden he comes in and he's like, "Hey, let's hang out. Let's actually spend time together." And I know he does that with a lot of the guys. And, so he's a good leader. I mean, everything I can say is, he's doing everything he can. I don't know. It's when someone's unproven, I remember I was getting my ass, shipped out of Buffalo and everybody's like, "Wyatt's just not a good player." And everybody was like, "Wait, he's just young. You going to give him a year or two?" And they gave me a year and got me out of there. So I pray that, he has an unbelievable season and puts it all together because I want to win.
I wanted to ask you about that transition because like you said, I mean, I know Andy Janovich was the same deal. And Baker was beloved in that locker room. Guys loved Baker. Even in Tampa, it seems like he's had that effect, right? I don't know how to quantify it. He's a leader of men. Guys want to run through a wall for him. And it led to a division title for Tampa Bay. I mean, they're re-signing everybody. They're going for it. To go from that, I mean, it's football. We always say it. It's a human game. It isn't one on a spreadsheet with numbers. You guys loved Baker, and you go from that to Deshaun Watson. He's coming in off of all of his off the field issues. But what was that transition like? Like how did he kind of ingratiate himself to you guys as teammates? And was it tough for guys to see Baker
I think that,
let go like that when you loved him that much?
Well, I will say this. I love Baker, and I think Baker is matured enough to where he would even say this. I truly believe when they were talking to Deshaun, if Baker, just said, "Hey man, it's going to be okay. I have one more year on my deal. Everything's going to be okay," and just played the next thing, I truly believe he still would have been the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I don't know. I don't know how every conversation went. I have no idea. But I'm just saying he was beloved in Cleveland by the ownership, by the team, by the coaches, by the players, everybody. So by the fans. So I think that he should have let calmer heads prevail. I think that even he would say that, where he kind of got like, "Hey, look, this is disrespectful." And I have no doubt, but my mindset in the NFL is, and maybe this is because I'm an offensive lineman, they're always drafting. They're always looking to have your replacement. It's even if you play for 10 years in the NFL, it's good to have guys who are good behind you. And the way he viewed it was, wow, they're giving up on me. And I just truly believe that if Baker was like, "Hey, calmer heads prevail," I think he would still be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. That being said, he has made transitions to other teams. He's learned a playbook in 2 days and been able to win games, which is just unbelievable.
Right.
The Rams, and then come back into go to Tampa Bay and just be an unbelievable leader and have a whole off season with that team. It shows you how good that man is. At the
same time, though, I get Baker's point of view, Wyatt. Like, you don't want to be a lame duck. You're seeing Josh Allen get his deal in that class. Gosh, who else would have been right around there? I mean, that's Lamar's class. I guess he had his own contract situation, but you're seeing your peers get paid, and you just played with a torn labrum, right? I mean, his shoulder's all messed up, playing through it. I think when we saw each other there, that was that season, 2021. I'll never forget. You said something like, "Man, he's tough, but almost like too tough for his own good." Maybe Baker goes back, he takes a little time off, let that thing heal. He's trying to grit through it. But I kind of get his point of view. Like, man, I put my ass on the line for you. Yeah. Now show me the money if you believe in me.
Yeah. No, and I agree, but I also believe that, you know, this kind of comes back to me, being a, man of faith, but I just don't know how someone could think that anybody deserves that. I'm not entitled for anything. I don't deserve a damn thing. I am so blessed to be where I'm at, and I've worked my ass off for it, and I've also gotten freaking lucky. I went through the transition from Buffalo to Cleveland, and I thought I was a horrible player. I left that going, I'm not good. I'm not good. I left a team that was on the verge of being in the playoffs every single year, going to the AFC Championship every single year. I still have to get past Kansas City, which is easier said than done. But, they're an unbelievable, unbelievable team. And I was kicked out of it. You're not good enough to be here. Right? That tore me apart. But I thank God for it, because then I get to Cleveland. I get, nine starts under my belt, and an offensive line coach that, I think he believed in me. I don't know. I don't know if he likes me at all, but he wanted me to be the best Wyatt Teller I could be. And I'm thankful for that. I had a team, an organization, a coach, everybody that backed me up. And I got really lucky, but at the same time, I worked my ass off for it. That season of 2020, no one could travel. No one could do anything. But I put on 16 pounds of lean mass. I worked my butt off, all this different stuff. I could have gotten an injury the first play of game one, and Wyatt Teller would not have been anybody. So the point that I'm making is injuries happen. It's going to happen. I don't know why. And I think that it was because in college, he had such a loyal, good, in college, your team's loyalty, especially if you win the high, you know what I mean? He was just absolutely loved by his coaches. And, when he came to the NFL, it's the same thing I see with Aaron Rodgers too. Aaron Rodgers is a perennial Pro Bowler, all pro, crazy good quarterback. And he was pulling those things you're not going to talk to any quarterbacks. You're not going to talk to anybody. That's at year, 10 that he was saying stuff like that. So I'm not saying that Baker didn't have the right to do that. And I love Baker, and trust me, he deserved more than he got. But I don't want to be remiss of being look, man, we are so lucky and blessed to be where we're at.
Yeah.
And the grass is not always greener on the other side. So when I go, hopefully I talk negotiations with the Cleveland Browns here in a year or two. Joel did set a nice precedent with 2 years left on his contract. So hopefully I can start talking this year.
Yes.
But
if you want to put something out there, you can demand a raise right here.
Hey,
Why?
Well, they were saying Joel was so underpaid, and then he got one of the highest, paid guard spots. Now guards are making $22-24 million. I did make that
Chris
joke
Lindstrom a year ago. Yeah.
I did make that joke to Jimmy. I said, Jimmy, hey man, I'm getting close. He said, how old are you? I said, I'm 29. I turned 30 this year. He goes, all right, all that different stuff. And was just guards aren't cheap anymore. I said, nope, no, they're not. That's not my problem. No, I'm just kidding.
Capitalism, markets to market.
Hey, that's my bad. Let it work for me. And I want everybody to get paid, right? I want guys to get paid because that helps me out. So, I just feel coming into a season where, I have make or break, I have to prove myself. It's serious, and I don't expect them to be wow, Wyatt, you played 4,000 snaps for us. You deserve a contract with the Cleveland Browns to close out your contract or close out your season. I want to stay in Cleveland. There's no doubt about that. And how many guys have said that? You see what I'm saying? I want to be in Northeast Ohio. I love the people. I love the fans. I love the hunting, the fishing, everything like that. But I also love the team. I love the culture that we've built. Three playoff appearances in the past since 1999, in 25 years, 3 playoff appearances, and I've been a part of 2. We're so close. So I want to see nothing but success for the Browns. And even if I don't work for the Cleveland Browns ever again, I want to see them have success because I helped build that culture, So I don't know, maybe there's a part of, I want to get paid. I'm not an idiot. You need to know your worth. And I want to maximize my abilities and make money. But at the same time, it's like, do I deserve that? I don't know. It's just, it's hard to wrap my head around. I don't know. Maybe I'm the weirdo.
Yes, you are. You should be, demand. It's a great way to think, though. I think you're rooted in your faith, though. Yeah, I mean, when you're so faithful, like you were talking yesterday offline, I think that probably is the basis for everything. And your mentality, the way you're thinking. You mentioned Buffalo, and as you said, getting your ass shipped out of Buffalo. I think there's a lot of people here in Western New York that are wondering, like, what in the hell happened? How did the Bills let this guy leave the building? I mean, it's been a few years, so if you'd like to share, I'm sure a lot of people would like to hear what happened.
So honestly, I think that, Juan Castillo, he was the offensive line coach when I got there, and his thing was, hey, you got 34-inch arms, you're 6'4.5", you got the size, you got the length, I'll make you into a good player. I think that he was a huge proponent of me, and I think that he still is. I mean, he still texts me, and he's an amazing guy. But I just think that they had another kid, Ike Butker, who's a really good player, but Ike had just come off an Achilles. And I think he was supposed to go, middle rounds, maybe late rounds, but he was supposed to get drafted. He didn't. So they picked him up with me. Ike is a very smart player. I'm not a dumb player, but it takes me a second. I have to study. I have to work. Now after year 6, it's a little second nature, but at first I had to learn. I didn't know what frickin' duo was. No offense, in college, they didn't teach us anything. That man was at Iowa. That man knew offensive line play. So, it took me a second to kind of mature and learn that aspect of it. But I think that they truly believed that, Ike had a very high upside ceiling, and that I was kind of at my ceiling, or I was kind of playing, I might get a little bit better, but who knows? So I think that they were making a business decision with, hey, we have an undrafted guy, same size, same length, as smarter than Wyatt. So why would we, not use this as an advantage for the team? And I think, a lot of people are like, damn it, why did we get rid of Wyatt? I mean, you guys also got one of the team-changing wide receivers with one of those picks. So it wasn't the worst thing for the Bills, but, with the offensive line struggles, and, I don't watch the Bills all the time, but people tell me this, it's been tough to watch, because it's like, hey, we had a mainstay at right guard and we got rid of him. And I just think that, now they don't, I don't know, maybe they still get rid of people, but it's like, hey, if we have an offensive lineman, we're going to give him a year or two to really show us what he's got. And I think that kind of, maybe taught him a lesson. And if anything, that's a good thing. And I will say this, Brandon Beane, and Coach McDermott, just absolute amazing guys. Mr. Pagula, just amazing organization. I can't speak highly enough about him. And even after the fact of being traded, Coach McDermott still reached out to me. Hey man, thinking about you, praying for you. Hope the best for you. He didn't have to do that, but it was just a different family. Plus they send you in all those rookie meetings where they brainwash you into absolutely loving the city, but Buffalo was a pretty cool city. Now, you can't own guns up there, and I'm a Second Amendment guy, but it was a special place. And, now being in Northeast Ohio, I feel like it's a, blue collar Rust Belt city it's just amazing. And so I've been blessed. Sometimes when I drive down, some of the roads here, I'll just be like, am I in Buffalo? It just feels very similar, but yeah, now I've spent 3 times as long in Cleveland as I have in Buffalo. So crazy.
Right. You've got to be thinking at that moment, like you just said, how good am I really? I mean, you've got to rebuild your confidence in a sense, because you're on your last legs, right? I mean, you get to Cleveland and they've got other options. They've got future linemen they can draft, they can acquire. You're unproven. Where did you even start to kind of rebuild yourself to even get to this point where you're one of the best guards in football?
Well, I will say this, that, my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, was an amazing, backbone to that. She kind of kept me, hey, Wyatt, you got traded, not cut. And I don't think she even knows what she was talking about. She probably read it on Twitter or Instagram or something like that. But she was like, you got traded, not cut. You have a team that wants you. You got traded for more than you were worth, which I guess this was just right off of a tweet. But she was just amazing. She backed me up in every single way. I can't say enough about it. But I will also say this, 4 or 5 weeks after, maybe, I don't know, halfway through the season, they ended up trading who they got for their 33rd pick, Austin Corbett, who was an unbelievable player. And he's actually won a Super Bowl since then, with the Rams.
Right.
And Austin Corbett, I don't know if he hates me or not, but it was just, I saw the writing on the wall that we're going with Wyatt. This is our guy. And it did give me a little bit of confidence. Our GM, our head coach, Coach Kitchens, it was nice to be wanted. Now, I don't know how much they cared about me. If I didn't play well, they were going to move. I think at the end of the year, Coach Kitchens and so ended up benching me halfway through the game because I let a TFL through and Nick was on pace to being the leading rusher. So I don't think he was very happy with me, but I think he got fired not very long after. But I love Coach Kitchens. You see what I'm saying? That didn't get in my way of being like, Coach just made an executive decision in the moment because he's got 1,000 things to do, 1,000 things to think about, and took me out of the game. And then it turned into a passing fest. And back then they said I was good at pass pro. Now it's like, Wyatt sucks at pass pro and he's just a run blocker. But I would like to say, I've gotten better in both. But yeah, it was just like, all those things, they kind of add up and it gave me hope. And then I remember Bill Callahan coming in, and I still wasn't very sure about it. Like, am I going to be the starter? There was a three-way competition at right guard between Drew Forbes, Colby Gossett, and me. And Colby Gossett and I we trained together, so I knew how good Colby was. And Drew is one of the strongest men I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm pretty sure he could bull rush a cow. He's freaking crazy strong. If a cow jumped on him, I'm pretty sure he could catch that thing and put it to the ground. But it was just one of those things where those guys opted out. And, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday, but I believe it was a God wink. It's like, Wyatt, I want you to be here. This is where you need to be. Be content with where you're at, but also strive to be the best at what you do so you can glorify my name. So it's like, all right, hey, I have two guys, a three-way competition, two guys opted out, and those two guys were the guys that I was competing against. So I was kind of unproven going into, well, I guess I had started 16 games at that point. So I started the whole season over 2 years. But I had never been that week one starter. So I remember we're doing our 4-H's, which is, icebreaker, history, heroes, heartbreaks, hopes. And, this was through Coach, Stefanski. And he was talking about, all this other stuff. And I said, my hopes, blah, 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 history, blah, 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 heroes, heartbreaks. And, well, I also kind of felt bad because heartbreaks, I was hearing guys who had, unbelievable heartbreaking stories. I'm like, I lost my grandfather. I've never really played in a championship game. I have nothing compared to y'all. I'm so blessed. And even with the heartbreak of being traded, I don't even think I thought about that because it was just at that point I was a Brown. You know what I mean? And that's sad, but I found a family. So then all of a sudden my hopes, and I remember saying this is just, my hopes are that, I'm a week one starter for the rest of my career. And it was just, it happened. And I remember even earlier in that year, having meetings with Bill and, Scotty Peters, not Peterson, Peters, who I absolutely love. Great coach, technician, stud. And he's with the, Patriots now. And I remember him being like, hey, what are your goals and everything like that. And we just kind of gotten on a tangent. And he's kind of wired similar to me. Maybe I'm a little bit more talkative than him, but he's just, kind of that MMA wired guy. And I just remember him being like, saying all this different stuff. And I get to the point where I'm like, coaches had a lot of right guards that have been all pros, Pro Bowl guys. And who says I can't? And it really started with that confidence and that thought. And then I start practicing. I don't think, coach thought I was going to be very good. I remember, kind of going into the game, him sitting next to me the night before the game. And he was just like, look, man, whatever happens tomorrow, it's going to be okay. If I have to take you out in the second quarter or the third quarter, it's going to be okay. And, I'm just thinking like, I've started 16 games in the NFL, coach. Like I've been here, not week one, but I've been here, coach. And I just remember coming out, we get up absolutely obliterated by the Ravens, and I ended up having a good game. And it was just like, Bill started being like, wait, who the fuck is this guy? You know what I mean? And maybe that started his confidence with me a little bit more. I don't know. I don't think he ever had confidence in me, but it did kind of start with that, a little bit, maybe a minor bit of respect. But yeah,
he's hard. He's hard on guys.
He's very hard on guys. And, he also came into a room where you have Jack Conklin, Joel Bitonio. We get our first round draft pick with Jed. Starting center, JC Treader, who's been year 10, 9 or 10 at that point. Who's a great player, and who's the little pinky who doesn't know who the hell he is or where the hell he's been. So I think that coach really focused on me because I had to make the most of game. Jed had to make a lot of game because he was a rookie, but Jed was a first rounder. I was a 5th round draft pick who had been traded. So they didn't really trust I don't know. I think that he thinks I was a good player, but he was like, how good can he be? And how hard can I push him to see how far he can go? So I'll say this. I'm thankful for Bill Callahan, but he was a very difficult coach.
Yeah, I remember talking to you about him back in 2021, and man, you got the sense back then it's a different. I mean, all offensive line coaches got something to them, right? You can go right down the list. Yeah. Even off the field, there may be one out there with the 49ers who has done a thing or two, and yeah, right. People can Google that themselves, and
if they want to
even the Bills have one of the best offensive line coaches, Aaron Cromer, and there was the incident with the beach chairs a few years back. But I mean, he's one of the best, right? I mean, there's a reason these guys are offensive line coaches, and they keep getting jobs, right? Like in a way, it's almost like NHL coaches. Like an NHL coach gets fired, but he's going to get hired right away, and he might even win a Stanley Cup the next year.
I also feel like you said it, like offensive line coaches, you want someone who, no offense, is a little gritty. You know what I mean? That's the offensive line. And Bill, while he's one of the most intelligent men I've ever met, he's got some hardness to him, but he's also very kind. I will also say that there's times where Bill is unbelievably kind. When we're talking about family, unbelievably kind. Knows my son's name, has reached out multiple times. It's just, it's also like, hey, when I was at my lowest, coach, I think you kept on pushing, when I was barely afloat.
When was that? When was he really hard on you?
I mean, he's been hard on me my entire career, and I'm thankful for it. But I remember 5 days after my son was born, sleeping in a hospital bed, and this might have been 2022. So I'd been going through injuries like a madman after playing every snap in 2021. So it was weird, very weird year. I think I'd just been paid in 2021 or 2022 or something like that. And this was post that or whatever. And we were playing on Christmas. My son's born December 19th. We were playing on the 24th. So 5 days later, I might have gotten one good night of sleep that entire week. I want to be there for my wife because that's when football's all said and done. That's the person that I am still gonna, be focused on. No offense, football is going to be done. I'm not going to be worried about who the Mike linebacker is and what his tips and tells are, what the 3 technique does with his backside foot to see how much weight he has on his hand and what that means. I'm not going to be thinking about that anymore. Thinking about how I can keep my wife happy and not spending all our money. No, I'm kidding. But you know what I mean? It's just like, hey, how can I?
What's the Starbucks order for Carly?
Yeah, well, exactly.
We got to rein in those Starbucks orders.
Black iced coffee with extra ice, easy.
Oh, she's a keeper. She's a keeper.
She's a keeper, easy. But no, and I just remember being up every couple hours, maybe getting 3 to 4 hours and sleep at night. And I mean, I didn't miss any days, but I mean, Bill knew this. He knew this very well. We go out Christmas Eve, negative 18 degrees. Right, wrong, or indifferent, we can't run the ball. So we start passing the ball. We start passing the ball in negative 18 degrees. Amari Cooper, unbelievable receiver, has absolute just stick-em hands. He's dropping the ball. His hands are frozen. It's impossible. And plus we're trying to pass block when, no offense, defensive linemen have to use their forearms, which is a little bit of a bigger piece of meat than your fingers trying to grab. So it's just getting into the problem. And I remember going into that meeting, and this was after even, I think 2 weeks, 3 weeks prior, my Achilles heel. My calf, I think I minor strained or something like that. So I'm coming back off that. And I just remember him just being merciless, just tearing me down and being like, you're not giving any effort. You're not running after the plays. You're not doing this. You look soft. And it was just like coach, man, I'm with you, man. I want to play better too. And I wish that we ran for 455 yards and you would have been happy. We would have won by 21 points, but that wasn't the case. So why are we even pushing it more when, I do nothing but work hard for you, coach. I do everything I can. I do everything I can for this team. So I'm getting confused. I'm like, do I suck? Am I literally that lazy? Cause I take coaching as very serious. If coach says, hey, you're talking too much. No, shut the hell up. Hey, Wyatt, you're not running hard enough. All right, run harder. Hey, Wyatt, you're not getting length or your hips through the block. I'm going to do that, right? That's the coaching. And I think that it was very tough. And I think that, after that season, Bill in our exit interviews was basically saying that I'm not a very good player. And I'm like, thank you, coach. I appreciate you. Yes, sir. I mean, even after last year, I played 100% of the snaps. Actually, I didn't. Game 17, I was able to sit out for the first time in my career for a good reason, which was just an amazing feeling. So I played 98% of snaps or something like that. And I played more snaps than any other offensive lineman or I think guard in the league. I think we were averaging 75, 80 plays a game, and I played every game. So it's naturally going to happen. And it was just going into that meeting, I'm like, all right, Bill and I have come to a conversation. We're going to communicate well. And it was just why and I know why he does this. He's playing chess. We're playing checkers. But I will say this. Bill wanted me to work extremely hard in the offseason. And if he comes in saying, you're the GOAT, you're the greatest of all time, you're the man, he's afraid that I'm not going to work hard. So I get why. It did suck hearing it. Wyatt, do you see this stretch right here? You weren't playing very well. This is going to get you out of the league. You need to do this and that. And it's just yes, sir. Yes, sir, coach. Him being you just get wrecked and emotional in meeting or in games. And it's yes, coach, I do get emotional in games. But I'm not throwing punches. I'm not spitting on people, and I'm not, throwing refs around. I'm hey, this is, guys, do you see how this is crazy? We're getting mugged out there, and our guys are, our wide receivers are getting mugged. Their wide receivers get 15 yards. Got it. No, actually, spot foul. Wait, what? No, that's not the right spot foul. You see what I'm saying? It's hard to win in Cleveland. Any team that hasn't had a very high success of winning understands this. I don't think that the refs are making bad calls for Cleveland, but I do believe that there is a part of a lot of our games are nitty gritty run games. And remember in 2020, I don't think they called a holding call ever. No, I mean, I'm pretty sure I tackled people, but they weren't calling holding calls. So I had a great freaking year, and then all of a sudden they're 77, you hold like a MFer. So we're going to be on your butt. So now I'm watched, but, it's just, so joking about the refs, that's not real. I'm just saying that now they know who 77 is. So I get freaking calls all the time. Now I have to have my hands so inside, you can't even see my elbows and run and keep my feet moving. But but all jokes, it does make me play with a little bit of technique.
I mean, the mind games of Bill Callahan, that's what it is. He's trying to kind of maniacally manipulate and push guys to the edge. And you hope you don't cross.
Yeah. Yeah.
But did he really use the word soft? I mean, that's a word you don't hear often in football. Bill. That would have pissed me off a little bit after having a child and playing in that cold. I think it was like a 17-10 loss to the Saints is what you were referring to.
It was close, to the Saints. And that's what kills me. You got a bunch of guys from New Orleans that play in 70 degrees every day. It's -18. They're going to crack. Run the ball. We can do this, coach. Just if it's 2 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards, well, guess what? In the fourth quarter, it's going to be 22 yards, 42 yards because they're not used to the cold. Like I remember being like frozen, putting my hands right here, looking over to Jack and Jack being like, I'm so cold. Just being like, I'm fucking dying, bro. And the defensive lineman being like, hey, you know what sucks? Y'all have to stay in this weather. I get to go home. And me being like, you son of a bitch. You know what I mean? Just being like, all right, that's it. But it is what it is. And, it was tough. And I'm never going to say that, coach doesn't know what he's doing. If I was better at calling the plays, I'd be the first offensive coordinator, quarterbacks, offensive line, right guard. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not. I play right guard, so I'm going to focus on right guard. But there are times it's like, come on, coach, we can do this, man. You just got to have faith. But it is hard if you have any TFLs or any bad games and you're playing on a sheet of ice. Like, it sucks.
Yeah. Hard to grin and bear.
But I will say this. Bill Callahan would do all that shit to get the best out of me. So before I get remiss of being like, he's mean. He's so mean. No, fuck it. I'm a grown-ass man. He can speak to me how he wants. Now, as I came from a military household, if I spoke back to my dad, he would whoop my ass. So I don't speak back. Where some guys would be like, no, coach, you're being a fucking prick. Get off me.
Right. You're not an emotionally sensitive dude. You hunt alligators and, well, you're a badass. It's just, being a human being.
I cried at the end
it's freezing.
I cried at the end of Marley and Me, so I guess I'm a little emotional, but, jokes, I feel like the emotions that I go through in a game, they're keeping me locked, like they're keeping me aggressive. And if I try to suppress that, then I play not soft, but I just play like timid. And I can't play timid. I got to be a freaking predator missile. I got to run out there, not be afraid that I'm going to hit someone hard and hopefully put them on, highlight tape. But that's what you want. You got to play full speed. So like, I do understand maybe he got me into that angry position, but I also believe that, coach, when things are getting down, when things are tough, and if I'm barely afloat, you can see that. Don't push on the top of my head to see how much more I got. But that also being said, in freaking SEAL training, they drown your ass.
Right.
And what are you going to do? You willing to die?
Yeah, I didn't really know much about that until reading David Goggins' books there. It's
who's going to carry the boats?
Right. Boats. Who's going to do it? Yeah. Bill Callahan Goggins. He's off to the Tennessee Titans now. So you've got a new coach, which, good and bad, I suppose. Maybe a fresh voice is a good thing then. In some respect.
Well, it is kind of funny because like a lot of the guys we're talking about, like coaches, I'm like, this is the first season in ever. Because even when I was young, I didn't know what I was expecting. And now that I've gotten older, I'm like, I have a great relationship with our offensive line coaches. I'm not remiss to know that the coaches in the off season are not going to be the same week 12 after 2 losses. That's going to be a very different team. I pray we don't lose any games, but I'm just saying the reality of it is you go through ups and you go through downs. And a coach it's harder when it's hard. A coach is tough or meaner, tougher when it's hard. So I'm just saying like an open sense of communication with Andy and Roy. And it's just like, it's a season that I'm actually excited for. I'm actually excited. And it was like, I got to go spend 30 days with Bill and then 5 days every week being told that, not that you suck, but hey, you're not doing it right. You got to work harder. But that also being said, that made me a hell of a good player. So I'm not taking everything, Bill taught me away from him, but I am, there are stuff that Bill, the work, the meticulous understanding of the game. I mean, Bill is arguably the best offensive line coach in the league in history. But I'm really thankful to have a coach that has open conversations, has open reasonings. If I don't like something, or if I'm not afraid to, I've never been afraid to ask a question, but like, I can be like, hey coach, what are we doing here? Got it. Where I feel like if I spoke up in front of Bill, he'd be like, are you dumb? No, I'm not dumb, coach. I'm just asking a question. But no, it's just, it's nice having like that open form of communication. I even feel that even last year, halfway through the season, I was able to speak, candidly to Bill, even on the sidelines and everything. And, because sometimes when he was on a rant, if you say something, it's only going to make it worse. So don't say anything. Yes, sir. I got you, coach. Yes, sir. I got you. You want that? Yes, sir. Right. However you want it, I got it. But there was times where I was like, hey, Bill, blah, 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 blah. And we were able to communicate, and he was talking to me, and I thought it was great. And, I wish nothing but the best for him.
I'm just picturing the scene there, breaking film down after that Christmas Eve game. If Wyatt speaks up and says, Bill, what the hell, man? I just had a baby. The beds in the hospital rooms, they're not comfortable. Do you look at me? Man, I couldn't get right in a position. If you're like breaking it down, I wonder what would have.
Oh, it would not have been
pencil
good.
Across the head.
Yeah, he would have been like, hands to him. Oh, no, but I think that he would have just honestly, there's players that you get yelled at and you shut down. And there's players that you yell at, they get mad and they play better. And I think that it sucks that I responded to the latter.
Honestly, I wanted to kind of go this direction too, because we see the way you play. It's beautifully belligerent. You're just kicking ass, hauling ass, sending people airborne. You play angry. And now people are kind of getting a sense for your personality here. I've known you for a while. You're such a gregarious, fun dude to talk to off the field. And I just, we got a story up on David Long Jr., the linebacker for the Miami Dolphins. I mean, this is somebody who plays with your same anger at that position. I mean, he is taking people out. I don't know if you're familiar with Souls. Yeah, he is as old school Dick Butkus as it gets, but as he kind of broke down, there's a reason for that. Everybody around him is dying, and he has become extremely angry and brings that anger to the football field. He's just now kind of figuring out how to balance that all. I mean, you said earlier, like, you haven't had a lot of heartbreak in your life. So how do you get to that place? How do you get to that place of just pure, raw anger as you turn that corner and you got an Alex Anzalone in your scope?
Yeah, no, I don't think that there's ever been anger. Like, my thing is I'm never trying to start a fight, spit, yell, scream, be an asshole, call people names, call people all this stuff. I never do that. And I'm not lying, just to say that. Like, you've seen me mic'd up. I don't do that. I stay quiet, and if I do say something, it's usually a joke or something like that, or, conversation. My thing is, I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want to fucking take the bread. I don't want to take bread out of your kids' mouths. I want to play you at your best and win my reps so that you got beat. Like that's it. Man to man. Like, for example, I was talking about, Anzalone. I got him. 2 plays later, he got me. We were laughing about it because that's the game. That's the brotherhood. I'm not trying to hurt him. I'm not trying to just blatantly embarrass him, but I want him to know, right? It's that kind of enforcer mentality that I don't need you to hate me. I don't need to be like, I remember I played, Fletcher Cox. He hates me. And first play of the game, well, for good reason. For first play of the game, Bill's like, cut his ass. Cut him, get in his head. All right, great. And I remember I cut him. He didn't even yell at me yet. He didn't even get mad. He looks straight over the sideline, says, "You, Bill," all this different stuff, because they've been playing along together when he was in D.C. And Fletcher's been with the Eagles. So since then, now Fletcher hates my guts and just the entire game trying to push me over piles, all this different stuff. And it just didn't end well. And it was just like, I've never really had that relationship with any other player I've ever played with. Even like Matabuke, who's an unbelievable D tackle for the Ravens, I don't think he likes me very much. But if someone's gonna go into his knee, I'm not gonna push him into someone's knee. That is insane, right? I don't want anybody to get hurt that my hands are touching. If it happens, it happens. That's the play of the game. Like, I remember I had a guy, we were playing in Cowboys in 2020, and last name Hill, pretty good D tackle. He was a little bit of a dirtbag, kind of hit people late, but I ended up playing football with him years later, and I actually really liked the guy. But he played with that little edge and that chip on his shoulder, and it wasn't until that we got to become teammates that we were like, all right, we're cool, dude. But during film, like, he was hitting people late, hitting people low. Like, if you threw him, he would try to like lean into people. Regardless, I was running him past the pocket, and I don't think he meant to do this, but I kind of pushed down at the last second to turn back, and he fell into Nick Chubb's knee, or ankle or something like that, and hurt him. I was like visibly distraught after that. I was like, dude, I just got the next Jim Brown hurt because I'm being a dumbass and I'm trying to push someone at the end of the play, In the playoff game this past season, I'm picking my guy up, throwing him to the ground, and he runs into Joel's knee. Luckily, Joel, is as tough as it freaking gets and can play through it. But I'm like, Joel, I'm so freaking sorry. I don't want anybody to get hurt, but that's the name of the game. Like, if someone were to fall on my knee, I would never yell, you piece, you know what I mean? Like, that's just, It's the name of the game. We're moving. The fact that we all get up after a play is crazy in the first place. A freaking explosion, an atomic bomb goes off, and then 22 guys get up. It's unbelievable.
60 plus times a game.
Yeah. And that's on the lower end. We did it like 75 plays a game.
Yeah. Tristan Hill would have been that player, I think.
Yeah, Tristan. Yeah. Gosh. CT, I can't remember shit. But no, he's actually a pretty good dude. And it wasn't until we became teammates that I was like, all right, I like you, man. You're funny, dude. But yeah, he played with that edge. He played with that chip. But yeah, it's just, I don't want anybody to get hurt. I'm not going to be talking smack to you. Like, there's times where if you're going to talk smack, I'm not going to back down. Like, I'm not a little punk, but I'm not going to be like, screw you, man. Yeah. You bitch. Like,
yeah. Bro, somehow you get to that place, though, like whether it's, Bill's voice echoing in your ear, and it's just the competitiveness of pro football. Right.
Yeah. I hate to lose. I hate to fucking lose. That's what it is. I don't want to lose. So I want, if it's a man versus man sport where I have to use my hands in a certain area and he can put his hands in my face, around my eyes, scratch, gouge me out, but I can't do anything, I think that's advantage him. So if I beat him, if I embarrass him, I played D-line. I wasn't very good. I wouldn't snip the freaking cleats of any of the guys in the NFL. But the best part was like, dude, pop his hand down, move right past him. You know what I mean? Now it's like, dude, if I got picked up and moved against my will from an offensive lineman who did it legally, damn, that's a good-ass player.
Which play, one-on-one battle, what's something that happened in the trenches that you're most proud of?
Well, I would say that
you'll tell those kids about one day.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't really talk about play. Hopefully that there's enough, film going around that, people see it. But, even last year, against Jermaine Pratt, who's an unbelievable inside linebacker, who's a really good freaking player. I played against him a lot. And I got a really good handle, got a good hand, and I was just running, and it was either I put you in the end zone or you fall right here. And he was like, get the off me, and kind of just like, quit it. But it was like one of those things where it was like, that moving down, that play right there, the honey badger play where I'm running out. I didn't know he said this, but me smiling at him. He's like, oh, tackle for loss. Thank you. And me smiling at him being like, bro, you and I both know what just happened. And he taps me on the helmet, and that's that brotherhood. That's what I freaking thrive for. When it's all said and done, that's the stuff that's like, I don't know. That's the shit that you write home about. The people that hate you, the people that talk crap, all that stuff. I'm going to forget that. I don't remember any, it's hard for me to even bring it up. It took me to 2020 to talk about the people that hate me, but or 2021 when we played Fletcher. No, it might have been 2020. Might have been 2020. See what I mean? Like, it's just not like that. Like, if anything, I might be like, hey, how's your walk with Christ? If I see like the little cross pads in his pants, I'll be like, you follower of Christ? I think I was talking to one of the players, one of the D tackles from the Houston Texans, and it was in the playoff game, and he had these cross things, and I think he had a cross paint on his eye black, and I was like, you like Jesus? You know what I mean? Just I don't know. That's the stuff
that's one thing for Andrew Luck, though, to talk like that to opponents, but you are on the line of scrimmage bashing into these guys every single play. Yeah. So yeah, that's impressive. I'm going to do it full speed, and I'm going to try to put you on the ground so I can move to the next player. It's not that I want to embarrass you or hurt you. I want to do my job, move on, and hit the next guy so we can score. And I know that there's some guys that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Wyatt.
No, I'm just saying there's some guys that in their mind it's like I don't know what they think of me. They maybe think that, if they hate Donald Trump, or if they, they're like, that's Donald Trump. You know what I mean? I don't know. But like, if they hate someone, or if they just truly just like can't stand someone, they have to envision that to play me. I'm not doing that to play you, man. I'm watching your technique. I'm watching your fundamentals. I'm just trying to win my rep. And if I get to pancake you and move on to the next guy, then I got a double plus.
There's a little trickeration there too that works to your advantage. George Kittle, right. Shameless plug. The Blood and Guts, How Tight Ends Save Football. Everybody, maybe go buy a copy if you'd like. When we were talking for that, he said that he jokes around like with D tackles and D linemen, even Aaron Donald. He tries to have fun between plays to almost kind of disarm you, right? It kind of takes you to a different level. If you're always on, if you're always wanting to destroy and obliterate and kill, like he jokes around, gets somebody to lighten up, or maybe just gets him to think for a split second, like, what? Who the hell is this guy making a joke about the hot dog vendor?
What's wrong with you, man?
And then he can just turn it on. He flips a switch, and he's one of the best run blocking tight ends ever. So there is something to it, maybe as well.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And I'm not trying to lull a guy to sleep. My thing is it's just like, bro, you're faster. You're stronger than me. Cause if I was fast and I was strong, I'd still be playing D tackle. I'm not. I moved offensive line because I wasn't fast and strong. Now, when I did move to offensive line, I realized that I was athletic for an offensive lineman, but I was very unathletic for a defensive lineman.
And this is at Virginia Tech for people listening too. I mean, this is at the college level, D1. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I remember I was finishing last in all my drills on D line, and then all of a sudden I moved to offensive line, and I was also pretty like 260 or 265, so it's kind of light, but I was still finishing all my drills, and just it was easy because it's like it's a different thing. So, and I know that offensive linemen are crazy athletic and freaks. Look at Trent Williams. But I'm just saying that, like, on average, a D tackle is way more powerful. They create way more force, everything like that. Now, I know that offensive linemen, they're not the exact same as they used to be. It's not some 400-pound guy that just gets in the way. No, like, there's athletic Chris Lindstrom, you already brought it up, who is just a crazy athletic player. But, yeah, it's just like, D tackles, D ends, they are way more athletic than us, but we have to block them every play. And what's crazy is they just have to be right once a game. If they are right once a game and they get 16 sacks, they are the best defensive tackle in the entire league. If I give up 16 sacks, if I give up one play a game, just mess up, I'm fired. So it's crazy that now I will say fast twitch versus slow twitch. And that's another thing. There's 12 guys on defensive line just being rotated. And you're just like,
right.
Oh, great.
And they're playing 40, 50 snaps tops, and they're fresher, and you're out there the entire 70,
there you go.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. But that being said, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a faceless, nameless, job, but at the same time, I love my job.
God, who would be like maybe the best D tackle that you faced, or maybe somebody that we're not talking about enough? I'm just thinking of like having Olin Kreutz out
Chris
there.
Jones. Chris Jones.
Oh
yeah, he's one of the freakier players I've ever played against. Like, he wants you to punch him in his chest so the best pass rushers can move their body while their upper body is moving and rotating while their lower body is still moving towards the quarterback. So what he does is he's moving towards you. You punch him. I know, crazy. Punch him. He grabs both your hands with the force of Zeus, lifts you up, moves you to the side, and gets to the quarterback. It is one of the scariest childlike feelings in the world. So yeah. And I will say this, we play unbelievable D tackles, every day at work. I'm not going to be that cliche, but even in our division, it's just like in our conference, unbelievable. Division, unbelievable. We have to play, and not only that, a 7-headed monster. You can't be right against half the Ravens fronts because they're so good. They're coached well. They're good players. They're led well, but by both those the linebackers. They have unbelievable talent up front. It sucks. We have to play them twice a year, and most guys don't even get to play them a year. But then again, I think like this past year, I played Aaron Donald. Thank God he retired. He was one of the strongest men I've ever blocked. He literally grabbed me with like 2 fingers and a thumb on my jersey, and I might have been, I don't know, not super heavy, maybe 310, 315. Picks me up and moves me, and I'm just
with three fingers.
I don't even think he had a whole hand on me. He just moved 2 fingers, and I was like, God, this guy is crazy. And he's so fast. I mean, then again, that man literally, his trainer throws knives at him. And I don't care if it's, trained or planned or anything like that. Like, it's life or death to him, But yeah, no, he's crazy good. And so I know that other guys go against really good D tackles all the time too. I don't know if there's a lot of bad D tackles in the league, but it's just like, I always say this when people talk about the speed from college to NFL. It's just like, when in college you go against, 3 to 4 really, really dynamic, talented difference makers. In ACC, I know, SEC, lots of talent, but, ACC had lots of talent. I'd go against good guys who are still playing in the league, Clemson. But it wasn't until like, every single one of them are still playing. But with like the NFL, you're going against 3 or 4 guys at left D tackle that are just crazy freaking talented, that are just as good as the next one, just haven't gelled their pass rush moves. Very rarely do you go against a no talent guy because you wouldn't be playing in the league. It's the best of the best of the best of the best.
Man, so perfectly said, Wyatt. Because what I was going to say is asking Olin Kreutz that, he played in a different time. He brings up Ted Washington, right? And you think of Ted Washington, he's like 400 pounds, and he thinks that he should be in the Hall of Fame, because he didn't have the numbers. He's not rushing the passer, but he would just clog up 2-3 bodies at a time. But think about how
the guys, good luck.
Right. But the aesthetic of the D tackle has changed. Like the Gilbert Browns and the Ted Washingtons have now become the Chris Joneses and the Aaron Donalds, and can just flat out embarrass you in front of a national audience at any moment. Like that could be a terrifying existence for you or anybody trying to block them.
And like I said, they have to be right 1 or 2 times. Now in a game, we're talking about winning reps. Not every rep they win is a pass protecting, is a deep drought, but if they get right 3 or 4 or 5 times, maybe it's on a pass play where they really beat you. And if you do that consistently, you're out. And it's very different. So we're less athletic, not all of us, maybe me, less athletic, I know that there's some really strong offensive linemen, but defensive linemen 3 techs, they're crazy powerful. And that's just by design. You want to close that edge, and guards are usually pretty strong, but I still believe that if a D tackle really wants to train, D tackle's going to be stronger. For example, I just saw some kid at Virginia Tech, shameless plug, squat 700 pounds for like 10 or something like that. Maybe 600 for 10. I don't know. Ridiculous. What? For 10 reps. I couldn't sniff that. I think my max back squat was 700. See what I mean? So like they have the potential of just being ridiculous. We're slower. We're not as strong. And we have to be right every single time. It fucking sucks, but it's also, I love my job. It's amazing.
You got to have something different to you as Wyatt Teller. Then what, if you could really, put yourself under that microscope, why are you one of the best linemen in the NFL then? What do you have that has gotten you to this point?
Good question. I always think about that. There's a lot of talented guys, that I watch, and it's just like, for example, when I think of Joel, I think of like, it's easy. It's quick. He's crazy fast. He's crazy smart. His feet are unbelievable. And if I had to say anything, through, asking D tackles, what's my strengths and weaknesses, I guess grip, I am strong. I have pretty good leverage, but, it's also like a craftiness. I remember, a couple players were talking about, I'm trying to like just, pull a little bit or push a little bit and see how your balance is and see how your core is to see, all right, boom, I don't know if that's from, I didn't really wrestle that long. I think I quit wrestling in 6th or 7th grade, but it's just like that little feel of, that push pull, that little bit of kind of what a defensive lineman's doing to us. Like, hey, what are you doing? And I guess that maybe comes from that aggressive defensive lineman mindset, but yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
This has been a delight, Wyatt. Man, as always, love it. A little over an hour. We can go for another hour or two. Why not? Right? It's you got somebody chasing Brooks around. We can filibuster here, right? Give you some time off from the dad duties, but you love being a dad. What has been the best part about being a dad?
Seeing him grow and seeing him like starting to put things together. And he was in here, sitting on my lap while I was playing Fallout. Probably not the best game for him to be watching, but it was just for a minute. And he's sitting on my lap and he gets down and he grabs this little thing. It's just like this. I don't know, the little angel thing.
Yeah, we got one of those.
He got it up, pulled it over here, and I was like, Brooks, that's. Be careful, buddy. Got to put that back. Put it how you found it. And he literally walks over there, puts it right where he found it, walks away. I said, he's the smartest ever lived. You know what I mean? It was just like, I'm the greatest father of all time, but it was just like, it's special seeing him grow and put things together and just, see him grow.
Well, I know you're also a huge Zach Bryan fan. Sonny is all about revival. Have you unleashed little Zach Bryan in the household? Some dance parties going for Brooks?
Yeah, I don't even know if it is kind of funny. I'll play country or something like that, and I don't even know if he knows it's music. But whenever something with like a little beat or something like that gets on, he just starts bouncing. It's like, yeah, that's my boy. Horrible dance moves. That's my boy.
Love it. I love it. All right. Wyatt, this has been great. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Good luck this year, right? This is the calm before the storm. Any plans before camp begins? Anything fun?
Maybe golf. I don't know. I'm probably going to hang him up next week.
Yeah. Well,
maybe shoot some guns.
Trump and Biden are going to settle the presidency over 18 holes. Yeah, so maybe you can just join them, right? There you go, Wyatt.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, I've seen your swing. No.
That was great. Hey, thanks so much, man.
See you, Todd. Thank you, brother.